Becky Riordan is back at it. This time she's providing an absolute bogus excuse as to why Disney's live-action Percy Jackson series Race replaced Annabeth Chase. Becky Riordan, if you're unfamiliar with who she is the wife of Percy Jackson and the Olympians creator Rick Riordan, and is a producer on the upcoming Percy Jackson and the Olympians Disney Plus series that Race replaced Annabeth Chase in the series. So in a now deleted tweet transcribed by the direct, Riordan first asserted that readers of Percy Jackson and the Olympians are spreading hate. She says, Rick Riordan and I were feeling very sad today because there are people continuing to use his books to justify spreading hate. It helps, though, to think about all you true blue fans that are respectful and supportive of each other and our cast. We couldn't be making this show without you. So someone asked her, this Justin Hartzell guy asked, not sure why Annabeth has to be someone of color. She isn't that at all in the books. Disney turns a lot of female characters, people of color these days. Whatever happened to the days of Bridge to Terabithia, for example? Not mad, but disappointed. Miss the old Disney. Riordan responded, does it help to know that when those characters were created in 2002, the expectation in publishing was a white default? That's absolutely garbage. We know that's garbage because there are plenty of non-white protagonists throughout publishing in any various forms, whether that's comic books or novels. So I don't believe that whatsoever. And then she goes on and says, Annabeth's perceived whiteness in the book is a default. That's absolutely not true. That's specifically how Riordan describes her in The Lightning Thief, the first book, which we'll get to. Skin color or hair color is not meaningful to her character. Well, then why did Rick Riordan, your husband, specifically describe her as having blonde hair and being a California girl, and then obviously approving of graphic novel adaptations where she is very clearly a white woman? So then she says, one of the reasons I love this fandom so much is because they could see beyond the mainstream expectations and see themselves. The character belonged to all of the fans, not just the white fans. When she was white, she only belonged to white fans. Like, what does this even mean? Like, what are you even saying here? But let's get into this. So first off, her claim that Annabeth's perceived whiteness in the books is a default is a straight up lie. I 100% believe that she is lying, and she's trying to gaslight readers of the series or people who are all about the woke identity politics that this show is going to be pushing. Because if you actually read The Lightning Thief, Rick Riordan describes Annabeth writing, the last thing I remember is collapsing on a wooden porch, looking up at a ceiling fan circling above me, moss flying around a yellow light, and the stern faces of a familiar-looking bearded man and a pretty girl, her blonde hair curled like a princess's. They both looked down at me, and the girl said, he's the one, he must be. Silence, Annabeth, the man said, he's still conscious, bring him inside. So clearly she has blonde hair, right? So that is a major attribute to her. That's what she looks like, physical attribute. He later wrote in the novel, she was probably my age, maybe a couple of inches taller and a whole lot more athletic looking. With her deep tan and her curly blonde hair, she was almost exactly what I thought a stereotypical California girl would look like, except her eyes ruined the image. They were startling gray like storm clouds. Pretty but intimidating too, as if she were analyzing the best way to take me down in a fight. So I think that's a pretty clear description of what she looks like. Stereotypical California girl, deep tan, and her curly blonde hair. Sounds like a white girl from California, right? And you can see here clearly is white in the graphic novel adaptation. Here's some more panels from that. White girl, blonde hair. And then even on his own website, you have white girl, blonde hair, Annabeth Chase. Oh, not to mention, it reveals that she is the daughter of the Greek goddess Athena. And then so as for her skin color and hair color being meaningful to the character, it clearly was for Rick Riordan at one point. Otherwise, he wouldn't have described her as such and allowed artists to depict her as such. And regardless, they are meaningful to the character because that is indeed how she was written and created. It's literally like saying, like, can you imagine telling someone, hey, your skin color doesn't matter to you, even though that's the way you look and the way that God made you? It's utterly absurd. It's so stupid. And then as for her final tweet about the character belonging to all the fans, was that in question? Did the character not belong to all the fans beforehand? Was she only intended to belong to white fans beforehand? By Race replacing the character with Lee Sava Jeffries, Does she now only belong to black fans of the series? Because that's what Lee Sava Jeffries is. She's black. And then finally, does Becky Riordan realize how racist she sounds? So, and then I just kind of go over the fact that Hollywood has now confirmed that they do indeed push race replace casting via for ideological purposes, to push ideological agendas on people. And I think Becky Riordan and Rick Riordan totally bought into the ideological agenda of the Walt Disney Company, and that's what happened. And they sold out. They decided they had no longer respect for their own source material and chose to cast those characters that way and went along with it. I just don't have any. You can't have any respect for people that don't respect themselves, right? So this show's pretty much DOA. Woke casting implies woke ideology is all over it, and when woke ideology is all over it, usually the storytelling is absolute garbage. So I have no intention of seeing this. No intention of letting my children see it either.